Adventure in Pipeman on W4CY Radio.
I made myself a victim and I'm getting off the skull. I got your pill, but then I said it made myself your own.
This is Pipeman here on the Adventures of Pipeman W4CY Radio, and I'm here with
Spencer from Underoath.
Nice. Here back at Welcome to Rockville.
Back. We are back, baby.
So we were just talking before getting on about Rockville, Louder Than Life, and all the people, and how many people, and like,
Are showing
everybody
up.
said rock is dead, and I tell them go to a Danny Wimmer festival.
Yeah. And like I was saying before we started this thing, I think no matter who owns the festival, be it a Warped Tour or a Wimmer festival or a random hardcore festival one-off somewhere, you see the numbers rising, that's a win for everybody, because who cares if as long as it's rock music pulling in big numbers, it's a win for everybody. Even if you didn't own the festival, like, you would celebrate, like, hey, people are showing up for rock bands again. You know, I think we did see a downtick for a little while there in this whole scene for a minute, you know, maybe 5-10 years ago. But now it seems like it's bigger than ever, which is exciting.
It definitely is.
Like you said, rock music is not dead. Music with guitars is not dead. And to see it growing is exciting. I mean, we've been doing this for 20 years, and every year it's like, how could it be better? And people keep showing up, and younger generations keep discovering music. Like, our drummer was at his son's show the other night. His son is in, like, the School of Rock.
Oh, yeah.
And I wasn't there. Obviously, he flew to go see his son and do this thing. And we were coming in this morning. He was telling me about it. And his son, who's, I don't want to quote this wrong, maybe 12 or 13, maybe 14. But in that age group is listening to bands that, like, we grew up on, like Alice in Chains and Korn, and loves old Slipknot, like all the stuff that we were getting into at that young age, from grunge to the early stages of nu metal. That's what the kids are listening to. I'm like, hey, man, the kids are all right, you know?
Yeah, and so what's wild to me, okay, because I started in the 80s.
Yeah.
And then I have my son who also into metal and rock. But then his son, I brought last year Rockville. He's here today for Rockville. And, like, he's 15. He's my grandson.
No way you're a granddad. That's crazy.
I know, right? And it's so funny. It's like me reincarnated, because I'm playing all these bands in the car that I think he'll never know.
Loves
and he
it.
knows all of them.
But to be fair, let's think about, like, so when I was a kid, bands that I grew up on before getting our own discovery, we've got 3 older brothers, so I was lucky. You know, I got grunge right when it was, you know, right at the beginning, you know, when most kids my age weren't listening to that because they were still listening to their parents' music. But my parents, I was turned on by, you know, the Stones, Led Zeppelin, Beatles, Pink Floyd, and most of this shit was, oh, sorry, I can't say that.
You could say whatever the fuck you want.
All right, most of this shit was done before I was born, but I loved it. So I don't think, you know, I think we don't see things that way because we're like, how did the kids know about stuff from our era? But, like, think about the stuff you listened to when you were.
That's true.
You know, like you like, I think the great music just exists and it's timeless. And I don't mean that in the way of, like, people use that word so loosely. I mean it as, like, an 8-year-old kid hears Led Zeppelin 1 for the first time and goes, fuck, that's it. Not thinking, that 8-year-old kid isn't thinking, well, that was recorded before my dad was born and maybe before my you know, they're not thinking like that. That's what I mean by, like, great music is timeless, because the era it was recorded shouldn't matter. Like, I have listened to Pink Floyd my whole life, and the other night we had some friends over, and me and my wife had just put on Dark Side of the Moon on vinyl, and we're sitting there. My buddy, a buddy of mine who never was a Pink Floyd fan, was just like, you know, he had never really paid attention to that record, and the fact is, like, that was created like, if that was created today, it would still go down as one of the most phenomenal records of all time. So that's what I mean. Like, great shit is just time. It doesn't matter when it was created. It could be created tomorrow. It could be created before your parents were born, and it's still fucking great. So seeing kids falling in love with the music that we fell in love with and some of the music that our parents fell in love with, it's just reassuring that this isn't going anywhere.
Well, you know what I think the key is? Musicianship. And I think that's on the rise again.
Yep.
Like at a point that wasn't, and now you're getting, even like you take these bands like Dirty Honey and bands like that are bringing back that music of the 70s,
Yep.
meaning the musicianship.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to hear more human element in music again. I don't want to hear, I mean, everyone got so good at computers that I think even the heaviest, quote-unquote, scariest music being made recently doesn't raise a hair on my arm because it's so computerized and so perfect and so unreal to make. So the more human element I'm hearing in music again is exciting, and that's what makes my hair stand on end and gives me goosebumps. You know, like I think that's coming back, and I think that's exciting.
Yeah, well, you know, it's funny you should say that because I say that all the time. You know, the fact of, like, you have so many micro-genres and sub-genres that I'm saying, like, a lot of metal nowadays is like a formula that you plug in. But if you have a band that has multiple, like, if all your band members have different, you know, influences, genre influences, that's where the uniqueness comes from. Otherwise, it's just all the same.
Yeah. We need less of the same.
No doubt.
I'm hoping that is on the rise too. Like less of the same, you know. I want to know when I turn on something or someone plays something for me, I want it to be like, if I don't know who it is, I want to be like, who is that? Or if I do know what it is, I want to immediately know because they're so, you know, it's so unique and so different. Like, oh, that's this, or that's that guy's voice, or that's this. I don't want it to be like, oh, that sounds like this band. You know, I'm not looking for that in life anymore.
Like,
you know?
if you hear Underoath, you know it's Underoath.
Hopefully.
That's
I think
my
so.
That's my opinion. But still, same, like, go back to the 80s from when I started in it. The big four of thrash, none of them sounded the same at all.
Yeah.
They had maybe the same components.
Yes.
But other than that, you could pick them out easily. Like,
yeah.
And you could pick out the guitars, you could pick out the drums, you could pick out the singer, all of it easily. And so I think that's what I want to see come back even more and more and more, like where you're just a unique, get rid of the AI. Like, what's up with the AI music? Like, to me, like, first they were taking it out of schools, and now you're going to just take it out of musicians' hands. And what good is it if it's just some computer-generated
You know
thing?
what my hope in theory is that AI, it's not going away and people aren't going to stop using it. But
Correct.
that kind of musician that's making the more mainstream and the more watered down and the more music being made for money and for success will be taken over by because no one's going to be able to outdo it. Think about it in 5 years, you know. So what I think that's going to do is lift the veil in, like, the artistic kids and the kids that are really doing, you know, like, weird avant-garde, like, artistic shit. You know, like, they're painting with a brush, you know. Like, that will come to the forefront because people are going to start to gravitate towards and see that because it's real. Because I don't think computers are going to be able to create that kind of, and I don't know if this is the right word to use, but that kind of genius. Like, the person that
it doesn't have the emotional, passionate element that music needs.
Yeah, and to paint with that brush of like following the artistic mind and the brain of where it could create something that's not safe and not made for TV, radio, and success. But, you know, where's the next Trent Reznor? Like, people like Trent Reznor and Tom York that make these songs that are just like, where did that come from?
You can't replace
and
that.
I don't think AI will ever be able to do that. But I think AI can make a blockbuster, you know, success, like big smash, like machine wrapped up in plastic and zipped in a perfect bag and presented on a, you know, silver platter for perfection. Way better than a human will be able to. But that's not. Hopefully, that's not what we're looking for, right?
Well,
you know,
we're looking for what I just saw recently. Okay, you were talking about School Rock, and now there's more of those type of places popping up There's one down in West Palm Beach by me. They just did a music festival in West Palm Beach called the 561 Festival. There must have been 40 bands, all from this school that is similar to School of Rock.
Yep.
And these kids were good. And it wasn't just kids. It was adults. It was kids. There was this one punk band. 2 of the members were like 7. And I was like,
That's so
this
cool.
is the best fucking band in the whole festival, man.
Yeah.
You know? So that's the stuff I love. Or like my grandson, little did I know, like his birthday last year. I'm like, what do you want for your birthday? A guitar.
Hell yes.
Okay, let's go. We're going to Guitar Center.
Yeah.
And he shocked the shit out of me because I didn't even know. He knew exactly what he wanted, what type of guitar, and then he started playing, and he started playing Green Day. I was like,
He knows chords already. There you go.
wow.
Yep.
Wow. You know? And this year, he wanted to go back again, get a keyboard. He wanted to go back and get pedal, like he's getting.
Good.
That's the only place he wants me to get him his gifts.
Yeah.
And I love that.
I love that. Good. And yeah, like you bring it back full circle, like you were telling me before this interview started, that they're breaking records again at Rockville with attendance, and that's just exciting to me. Is, you know, I don't care the reason. I'm just glad people are here. You know, live music is something that, you know, I'm a musician. You know, this is my job. You know,
right.
This is what I do for a living, and I still am a fan. So I'm a diehard fan.
I think you have to be.
I collect vinyl. I buy stuff from bands. I go to shows. Me and my wife go. I mean, we go to at least one show a month when I'm off, at the minimum. And it's not like, oh, we got to go to a show because it's my job and I need to do research. No, it's not like that. It's like, because there's a band coming through that I fucking love, and like I wouldn't miss it. And even if I don't know you, I'm gonna buy the ticket. You know, like I don't ever want to lose that part of me, because I think I did at one point, this before COVID, and I got bitter and angry about music and different, you know, things about this industry that can really piss you off when you dive into it. And then I had to remember, I think, you know, I was living in New York at the time, and in New York you walk everywhere and take the subway and you're always got your headphones in because it's just kind of what you do. And I was just listening again and listening all the time, and I just fell back in love with music and remembered why I started this. Because when I was a kid, like your grandson's age, I knew exactly what I wanted. I knew, I saw, you know, I grew up with Zeppelin and Floyd and all that stuff, my parents, but I saw Nirvana when I was a kid. I had, like I told you earlier, I had an older brother and 2 older stepbrothers who were always listening to cool shit. And I was like, that's it. You know, I saw the sweaty venue, you know, this is early Nirvana stuff, footage, and diving off of speakers, and the anger and the attitude, and just a dude ripping a guitar and yelling into a microphone. I was like, that's what I want to do. No. And I never stopped doing that. So I still to this day, like, I go to a show as a fan, and then if I get invited to a show that maybe not be my cup of tea, I go with an open mind.
That's what's great about festivals.
Yeah.
That's where I learned my new favorite bands at a festival. Like, don't come for the headliners.
Yeah.
Come for all of the music.
And honestly, I've been to a few things that, like, I wasn't necessarily a fan before, and I left going, like, I get it. I either get it, or I'm like, I get it and I love it. You know? And I think
I've been there, like, so many times. Like, one thing that happened to me, I was covering Okeechobee Fest, and I was always like, I don't get going to a concert of a DJ. Like, go to the nightclub for that. But then Skrillex came out, and I was like,
I get it.
I'm looking around, I get it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, holy shit, this is like a rock concert.
Yeah.
You know? And that was what was cool about it.
Funny story about him. We took him on his first couple tours when he was singing from first to last. He was 16 years old. And they were in a van, and we were at a bus, and we used to play Halo. Like, this is original Halo on the Xbox. And you would connect the back lounge to the front lounge with a LAN cable. And most people listening maybe not even know what that is, but look it up.
I had it.
And we played front lounge with back lounge, and his Halo name, and this is way before he didn't even know what a DJing was. He hadn't even created that genre yet. his Halo name was Skrillex on our tour bus.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you go.
And he was always the sweetest guy, and we've run into him several times since he's made it big, and he's still that sweet guy. Like, you know, I've heard from him maybe once every other year or so if I don't run into him, and like, I think I reached out to him one time, and I hadn't heard from him since like 2018. I reached out to him about a record he put out. I was like, man, this is fucking great. And he was like, dude, that means so much. You know, he's still a sweet guy, still the same sweet kid that we met. And that's the kind of energy that I love to see. And the longer you do this, the more like there's most of the people around are good people. Not, I mean, obviously not all of them, but you know, you find the real ones and they're still real. And you see someone take that level of success and still be the real dude that'll text you back. And he showed up. We did a secret show one time in LA, and he popped up and was in our green room hanging. And, you know, it's like that's the kind of dude. Like, man, you're still the same kid that we fell in love with at 16. And like, you know, we cared for him and cared for those guys. You know, like we loved taking those guys on tour back in the day, and still the same great kid. He's just a man now. You know, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's the longevity. And at that festival, I found myself like jumping and up and down, just like I was at one of your shows.
Yeah,
I was like, this is fun,
dude. I don't know, we're just rambling here. We played a festival one time, same kind of scenario when that world was kind of taking over, and we were overseas somewhere, and Deadmau5 was playing, and me and our guitar player and our tech, I think, were like, let's go see let's see what this is about, and not go see and stand on the side stage. We went around and entered where the crowd was and got in the middle, and when he started, the place just lit up, and the people were, and it was like, oh my God, we're like in a pit at a Slipknot. It felt like that, you know. It's like, which I'm smart enough to know. I grew up in the hardcore scene, and I wouldn't go get in the pit at a Slipknot show. You know what I mean? I don't want to go home with bruises tonight. And we're in the middle of the crowd when he started, and I remember looking at our guitar player and going, "We gotta get out, because it was insane." And then I left going like, you know, I'm gonna listen to it on the flight home, and I was like, I get it. Because, like, the energy, I saw it, you know, and I wasn't a fan going into it. So, yeah.
Well, that's like, I don't know if you saw anywhere on social media, but yesterday, Waka Flocka came out and started a pit.
Oh, I didn't see
that. And then we got evacuated. Like, he started a pit, and, like, it's all over TikTok, man, and it was a killer pit with him in there. Like, so that's what's cool about the Wimmer festivals, too. It's like this blend of everybody.
Yeah, I last year at Louder Than Life, I sang with Bring Me the Horizon because we have a song together, and Underoath wasn't playing, and I was watching Suicide Boys before, which I thought was a cool thing for Wimmer to put on because that's a different world, but it fits so well, and you know, I've seen them live before, and the first time I saw them a couple years before that is where I was like, oh, I heavily fuck with this band, you know, and it's not something I would have, again, not something that would have been on my radar. And then seeing that at a Danny Wimmer Fest, I was like, that's cool, because a lot of these kids probably were where I was at and didn't, you know, knew the name, but wasn't like, you know, that's not really what I would typically go to. But once I saw it and heard it, I was like, dang, I put them on regularly, you know.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, last thing, because you gotta go. Tell us about the upcoming tour.
We're going to be around a lot this year. We do a secret show once a year typically where we play like a super underplay, like 500 cap room, no barricade thing. Sell tickets at the door, play at an independent venue, you know, bring it back to where we started kind of. And we're doing a bunch of those shows. We're doing like 10 or 15 shows like that this year, which is exciting. But we'll be doing more. We've got things that are unannounced still. So just if you're an Underoath fan, just keep your eyes open. And we put up something today that might, if you're a diehard fan, you might understand it if you go look at it. It's probably just a story. So I think it's just a little bit of an Easter egg for what's to come. So a lot of exciting stuff on the horizon though in the Underoath world.
I love it. Well, I love that you're always at these festivals and you're just as relevant today as you were when you first started. In my opinion, even more so. We
love this. You know, like I said, this is. I'd be in the crowd if I wasn't performing. Maybe not here because it's so hot, but any other one. Yeah, dude. Florida's too hot.
I know, right?
Oh my God. But thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure, man. I feel like we do this every year almost.
I think we do.
Yeah.
And it gets better and better every year, and you
Yeah,
guys just get better and better. So
Thank you, man.
Thanks
Means
for
a
being
lot.
on the Adventures Pipeman.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.